And you were an alum here at Epworth Children's Home. What, if it's all right to ask, what circumstances happened to bring you here?
Well, I came to Epworth after having been removed from my childhood home after physical and sexual abuse, and not really feeling safe.
So you arrived here and had, I guess safety would be the first concern, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Trying to find a place to feel like you were safe, where you would belong, a place where there could be a routine, that you'd know what to expect from day to day.
How old were you then when you came in?
10.
10 years old.
Yeah.
Do you remember your first few days here, your first real taste of being here at Epworth?
Yeah, absolutely. I remember coming in through the front gates and seeing the long stretch, driving into the campus of the entry, and one of the first things that I remembered seeing was the church that was directly in front of me, and not particularly being fond of that. I was not a big fan of the church or of religion. I was still trying to make some sense of where was God in the midst of the things that I'd experienced, and didn't realize that worship was something that was going to happen every week,
right?
And particularly not in the place where I wanted to be. But once I arrived, I had an older sister and an older brother who were already here. At the time when I came to Epworth, there was not a space on campus for a boy of my age. At the time, the cottage was full. And so I was in a foster home and then came in from that foster home immediately to Epworth. And so having a chance to see my brother and sister and seeing all of the other students who were here at the time was a pretty amazing sight. So,
how were the kids, your classmates, I guess?
Great. You walk into a place and you don't know what to expect. You have your own fears, your own apprehensions. You're around a new set of people who you have no relationship with, but very quickly, within a matter of a few moments, as you are being admitted and you're meeting with some of the other students on campus who are telling you about all of the great things that you'll have an opportunity to experience. I remember the first time that one of my cottage mates started talking about going to the rec, and I had no clue as to what he was talking about. The rec, which was the recreation center, but I'd never heard that term, so I didn't know what he was referring to. But he was really excited about that, and I think that sort of eased some of the tension in the room.
And what year was this, by the way?
78.
Okay, 1978. How long were you here?
6 years.
Okay.
So I was here all the way through the end of my freshman year in high school.
Okay. So through your tenure here at Epworth, tell me about your experiences, the things you got out of it, kind of day-to-day life, whatever.
Sure. I think what was most important for me at Epworth was the feeling of safety, of knowing that abundant care would be provided, that there was a safe place where you would know there would be meals, shelter, but particularly that you would be safe. Growing up in the environment where I did, where you didn't necessarily have any control in your life and you didn't have a sense of safety, to know that there would be routine, and safety was a huge issue for me. You grow up in an environment where you don't trust other people, where you can still have memories that literally suck the life out of you, that just take your breath away. So to know that you'd be in an environment where you would be safe, where there would be food, where there would be shelter. But I think what was most important was being able to feel loved, respected, cared for. And I think what was most important for me in my foundation of Epworth was not just the sense that I had sacred worth, which was vitally important, that I was worth something, loved, cared about by other people, but to know that people were expecting something from me, believing in me, that I could have dreams for myself of having a better life.
Okay. And you keep saying safe, and I can only imagine, that I guess a sigh of relief, that you're right, you're going to be safe in your bed. You wake up, you're not going to wake up the next morning, and there'll be another day, and it'll be a great day. And how long did it really kind of take you to, fit in, but kind of get in the groove that I really am. This is real. I'm safe.
Sure.
It's good. Life is good.
Sure. I think it takes some time to get there. You go in, you're surrounded by people of different races, ages, from different perspectives, and you're not exactly sure what you're going to find, and whether or not, because you've been in other environments where it was supposed to be safe, and you didn't find them to be safe. So what would make this place different? So it took me probably about a month before I really felt and knew that it would be a safe place. The routine of a safe place to be at night, a regular time to know that there would be meals, to know that you would have care. It took a while, but I think having the other students in the cottage and having the house parents who made you feel safe created that kind of space.
So you said you came through the long drive and you saw the church and you're like, oh, hey now, I'm, no church for me, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Fast forward a few years and now you're a congregation leader and pastor.
Yeah.
What role did Epworth play actually in that transition and in maybe your spiritual awakening?
Huge. I am clear within my own mind, if it hadn't have been for Epworth, that I wouldn't be a United Methodist pastor now. And I think there was a pastor who at the time talked about the love of God, but I wasn't sure that I believed him or believed that. I couldn't believe in a God who loved me, who I couldn't see when people who were in my life didn't. But what I don't recall the pastor at the time doing is, while he would spend some time preaching and talking about love from the pulpit, what I remembered was him coming out of the pulpit, sitting down and talking with me on a day-to-day basis about real stuff. I remembered that he handed me the keys and said, I'd like for you to lock up the building. I remember that same pastor, seeing him in the recreation center, being a referee for our basketball games, of talking to me of the day-to-day stuff about how to build relationships with people. So he didn't just talk about love, he demonstrated love. And when I experienced the love of house parents and of other students who weren't related to me by blood, who loved me unconditionally, I had to face a very real challenge. I had a real question. If these people who didn't know me could love me unconditionally, what did that mean? And so it caused me to rethink what I had experienced and what I'd seen along the way. I had to move beyond being suspicious of other people. And that sense of sacred worth, of saying that your body was sacred. You are a person who's valued. We believe in you. You can achieve. And not just that I was be the recipient of other people's love, but I could be a dispenser of that I could offer that to other people. What I'm confident about, Tyler, is that not every student who comes to Epworth will be a United Methodist pastor, but every student who walks through the doors of this campus will know that they've been loved and cared about by someone, that they have value and sacred worth. And I think that makes all of the difference in helping people to find their way on their journey.
That's great. So you're 6 years, you said?
10.
10
and I was here for 6
years.
years,
Okay. All right, 10 years. So do you find maybe in your third, fourth, fifth year, you were beginning that path, with the leadership of that particular minister, that you kind of became a leader to the 10-year-olds that came in your, in your footsteps?
You get the sense that you want to give back what you've received. That sense that you want others to feel safe, to feel loved, to feel like this was a place where they could dream again. Where nightmares would turn into dreams and possibilities. When you lose a sense of yourself, and you can begin to envision again that life can be good, that's a tremendous gift, and you want others to experience that for themselves and to know the possibilities for their own lives. And I don't know what that'll mean. What I do know is that every student that comes through these gates will have the possibility of seeing themselves in that way again. And while I ended up being a United Methodist pastor, and that's sometimes celebrated, I imagine there will be students who will achieve far greater things than I've achieved, who have the ability to be able to see themselves in ways that they couldn't in the past. And if nothing else, for those students to see themselves as belonging to the community and being able to make a difference and being able to provide a safe place for their own families.
What do you think would have happened to you had you not found your way to Epworth? You ever think about that path, how that would have looked for you now,
Sure.
30 years later?
Yeah, I think life would have been totally different for me. I'm not sure that I wouldn't have found myself in other circumstances, whether it was trying to overcome the woundedness through drugs or alcohol, or whether or not it would have been in prison. I don't know. What I do know is that suddenly I had a different set of options, right, a different set of choices that I could make about my own life, and that there were people who would walk with me in a day-to-day journey of that. Being able to be here and to have people mentor you, to have teachers, to have tutors, to be told that you could learn, and not only that you could learn, but that people were expecting something from you, raised the bar. Mm-hmm. It raised the bar. And so I now kind of have that expectation for other people. How do you help to raise the bar for other people? Right. How do you give them a set of choices about their life?
You know, it's interesting, you've mentioned now a couple of times something you expected back, almost
mm-hmm.
like a responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
And that's got to give you some self-worth as well, even as a 10-year-old.
Sure.
To say you have people counting you to contribute, that really has got to make you get up more too, because hey, other people are counting on me all of a sudden, right?
Right. Yeah, and I think that's exactly what's most important, is not just that when I came to Epworth that I was looking for some type of handout, but a hand up, mm-hmm. A belief that your life could be different, and because you have been one who has received that, you can give that back to others. There are other people in this life who are counting on you. You can be bitter or you can be better. That was sort of what I learned, and I wanted something better for myself, and I want something better for other people.
That's great. Do you ever stay in touch with any of your classmates?
I do. I'm still in touch with a number of persons, of other Epworth alum who I keep in touch with on a regular basis, who continue to be colleagues and friends along the way. I was in Myrtle Beach just a couple of weekends ago, and I have a friend who's an alumni of Epworth who's in Conway, and had a chance to call him and to touch bases. And as a matter of fact, I was going to Nashville, Tennessee just last weekend, and could not believe that I was in the airport and ran into another Epworth alum who's actually working here in Columbia.
Oh, wow.
And had not seen her. Yeah, and she was traveling that same way and had not seen her for some time. And it was good to see her and to know that she's doing well.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. You know, I think it goes without saying, but obviously there's no really way to put into a few minutes the impact that Epworth has, you know, on people's lives, right?
Sure. Yeah, I think what I find amazing is that in our society, you measure society by how it treats its most vulnerable citizens, the elderly, our children, our youth. Epworth has created a place where children are valued and affirmed, where people who come from a troubled background have a chance to be able to build a foundation for themselves and to keep moving forward and to realize that they can be contributors to the society as well. I think that speaks volumes about who we are as people and about what matters most to us as a society. And so I think Epworth brings that kind of value to the life of the community.